Alright, welcome back everyone. I got the little Kubota D600 out. I got it on the bench. This is going in that 982 that I'm doing for the 982 build. Figured I'd go ahead and do an update video and show you guys some of the options I'm putting on this engine, some of the things I'm doing to it since I have it out of the tractor. And then here in a month or two when I get it done, I'll show you guys a finished product before I'm going to drop it into the tractor eventually to show you sort of a little bit before and after. So I'm doing some changes on this engine, some upgrades I'm calling them, but I figured I'd go ahead and show you. This is the original radiator on this tractor. Anyone that knows anything about a 782D, even the 1572s, etc., the radiator on these tractors was a little small. Now the 1772, they increased the radiator on these and made them bigger. Not double, but pretty close to it. So I'm not going with this radiator. I found a larger radiator, one that sort of would be in a 1772. And when I get that picked up here in the next month or so, I'm gonna get that bolted on here, mounted. And I'm doing that primarily because I'm using this as a worker tractor. And that's one thing with these little D600s. With this radiator size, they lacked cooling capabilities. Now my 782D, it does run a little warmer. 1772, that thing, you can let it idle, do anything with it, it runs really cool. So an increased radiator size, I think is gonna help on that. One other thing was hoses. I haven't figured out the bottom hose yet for radiator, but I did pick one of these up at the Kubota dealer, and I will put a part number on here for you guys watching this because I had searched through forums and asked questions. This is the hose for the Kubota RTV. You can still get these. This is a close match. Now I matched this up and I'll show you more close up on this. This will go where the thermostat is. This bell here, like I said, I'm going to show you guys a closer up. I'm going to cut that bell off because that's larger. And this hose is almost identical to the original one. So if you guys need a replacement radiator hose for these, for a top hose, this is your best bet. And I don't have it up here, but in the back I did buy some foam. And there's a type of foam you can buy. I got it at Menards in a big, like 6-foot stick of it. And that'll go on this top thing, on the top part of the hose. And I already did my 1772 with it, so when I'm all done I'll show you guys that, and it's going to look pretty close to original. So I'm glad I at least found the top hose. Before I start going into detail on the engine, one of the other things I'm going to do once I put the larger radiator on here is I got this fluid bottle, and I'm going to make a bracket that goes from the radiator, and I've already checked on this on my 782D and on my 1772. And this hose is going to go right in there like that. And like I said, I'm going to have a bracket, and then I can always just top off the coolant bottle when I need to, and I can always check the level of the cooling system without ever having to pull the cap. So I can just open up the hood, pop it open and look, and maintain a cooling system like that. So this is a pretty, I think this came off a John Deere or something. I can let you guys know, but I figured that's going to work perfectly in here and it won't interfere with nothing. So let me lower this engine down a little bit, and I'm just going to go show you guys some of the parts and some of the other things I'm doing with this. Alright, so like I said, it's work in progress. I'm going to put a larger radiator on here. This is broken. I need to fix this. I got to get some parts for the air cleaner, but that's going to come off. Right now I'm trying just to fit everything on here, make sure it's all gonna fit, and then all this bracketry is gonna come off, and this is all gonna get painted black, and I'm gonna pull the whole engine out. All this stuff's coming off. The engine's getting completely repainted, and then I'll put it all back on and put it together. So I got a new O-ring for underneath the valve cover assembly. I gotta put that on. I got to do a valve adjustment on here. Everything, I already looked at it. It looks pretty close. Nothing was, you know, too far out of whack on the valves. So I'm going to get that on. I'm going to try to leave these original stickers on when I paint. And the trick I'm going to do with this is I'm going to put clear contact paper over this once I clean it up good. And I'm just going to take a razor blade and cut around these stickers. And then when I paint the valve cover, I'll just peel that contact paper off, and it'll leave this decal underneath. I got replacement decals when I had the 1772 decal set, but nothing's like the originals. They're just going to be better, and I'd just like to leave them on for nostalgic reasons too. So I got all new hoses for the injectors. I got some part numbers I can throw in the description below for you guys. These are just old and hard, but I think I'm not going to paint over the new ones. I know Kubota, they put them on, they paint over them, but I think I'd rather not do that. I haven't decided yet. I got a new hose for going to the thermostat and the water pump. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes. I'm going to pull off the manifold. I'm going to give that some high heat black paint, make that all look good. These numbers here, just so I can take pictures. I got all the wires marked, that way I know exactly where everything goes back together. I showed you guys a fluid bottle. I'm doing that as an upgrade. Some of the other upgrades is I'm putting an electronic fuel pump on this. So this mechanical pump's coming out. I got a gasket for that. I got to get a block off plate or make one. So all this is coming out. I don't mind the mechanical. I was going to leave it on there, but I just think an electric fuel pump might be the way to go, especially for some of the other things I'm doing. So I picked up one of these, one of the Raycor water separator fuel filters, and right here is where the original little teeny tiny one, the Kubota one, the real small one, secondary fuel filter was. I'm gonna make a bracket, and I mean, I can't fit it in here right now because that hose is there, but this fuel filter is gonna fit in here, and then I'll have a water separator fuel filter, an upgraded one that'll be mounted in there. So that's the plan with that. That's one of the other things I'm upgrading on. To show you guys this radiator hose, this is the hose. We'll talk a little more about that. I'll put it down next to the original one on the floor. But this will go right there where the thermostat housing is. And you can see the curvature. Let me get the camera up top, how it goes around, and it's gonna go in that radiator. And like I said, all I have to do is cut this bell off the end, because this bell's wider, made for that RTV, so it's the same size. And I test fitted the other end, and this thing is gonna be perfect. So once I get that on, I'll put the piece of foam around there, and this will almost look like an original Kubota Cub Cadet hose. And I think this hose was only like 21 bucks, so it really wasn't too bad. Like I said, I'll throw the part number of that on there. Other than that, I've just been going through things. This idler pulley didn't have any grease in it. It was really dry and, you know, sort of a little sloppy, so I used one of them needle greasers, and I got up underneath the seal. I resealed that, so that's all good. Starter upgrade, I am putting the gear reduction starter in this, and I'll go ahead and show you guys that when I do that as well. And other than that, just pretty much gaskets and stuff. I did buy some belts. This is a Gates belt made for the rear here, for the water pump, the alternator, and that. I do have the original alternator on here. The original alternators on here, guys, were only 14 amp, and I was gonna upgrade this one. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that 100% yet or not. I don't know if I need it. I'm only running 2 LED headlights and a couple little tiny LED tail lights, so it would be nice having a little faster charging system on here. But like I said, I'm not 100% yet if I'm doing that, so I haven't got the alternator yet. Other than that, I'm gonna put new glow plugs in it. These glow plugs don't look very old, but I'm just going to go ahead and put brand new glow plugs, and then I'm gonna mount a relay up here, and I'm gonna wire this all in, and I'm doing the glow plug relay on this. And there again, I will do a separate video on that, on some of these things, maybe the starter, the glow plug relay, etc., because that's something some of you guys might want to do, but you don't want to watch a whole video of me explaining a bunch of other things. So I'll try to do separate videos on them as I do this as well. So that's so far what I got going on. I pulled the water pump, I pulled the thermostat. I pulled the thermostat out of there. Everything looked clean in there, but the top of the thermostat looked pretty nasty and gross. And I figured for the 40 bucks, I might as well just put a thermostat in it. That way I don't have to worry about it down the road. I did get all new gaskets for the back of the thermostat housing, for the top, the water pump. I got new gaskets for that, and I pulled the water pump out, and we're gonna talk about that in a minute. I inspected everything, but I did want to put new gaskets on it when I do it. Other than that, besides putting all new fuel lines and everything, I'm just gonna keep going through this and trying to replace everything that needs replaced now so I don't have to mess with it later. The rubber mounts looked pretty decent. I don't even think you can get them anymore. I got one more new set. I put new ones on my 782D probably back in 2010, and I think when I bought them, I bought 2 sets of them. So I might put brand new ones on there. Like I said, since I got this engine out, I don't plan on taking it out again. I might as well just go ahead and do it right. Let me go over here to the parts and show you guys a little bit of the water pump and other things. All right, so here's the old brittle original hose that came on this, and this thing's in pretty bad shape. I'm gonna put it right next to that new hose. As you can see, I mean, this will bend over because this new hose is flexible. It's almost identical. Let me get the camera back so you can see. Once I cut this bell off right here, it's pretty close. Now, I haven't had any luck. I went to Napa and I'm trying to find one of these bottom hoses. I didn't find anything that was close yet, but I'm not giving up. I haven't had a whole lot of time to mess with it because this hose is smashed and it doesn't look very well, especially right there. I imagine I'm gonna have a blowout right there. So if I can't get a hose, I might just get some pieces of hose and cut it and maybe put an aluminum tube in place. I don't know what else to do. I'm still checking some forums, trying to find out what you guys are doing with them, but I haven't had any luck on a bottom hose yet. So, box of parts. There you go. This should be the right blue enamel for the Kubota engine because they make a couple different blue colors. So I'm going to use paint the engine with. Now, this was the bottom hose for the radiator and stuff that came off the back of the engine. This hose was not the greatest. I got a new one of these. I was gonna try to clean all this up, but I decided I'm probably not gonna have any luck and it'll probably just leak. So I bought a new hose, and this is all genuine Kubota stuff. Here's some fuel lines. If you guys want, I'm gonna go ahead and throw some of these numbers in the description below. So make sure you check the description below. I'll put numbers for the gaskets of all these different gaskets for the water pump and all this other stuff to make it easy for you guys. If you need to order parts, you'll have the part number, because it took me a little bit of time finding all these, and some of these had to be crossed. So here's this, the new one of these, and that's gonna be a lot cleaner and better than trying to clean this thing up and chance having it leak. Because once you get this engine in there and you get this fired up, it's probably gonna leak when it gets hot, and it's not gonna be an easy spot to replace it. So I figured for the money, I might as well just go ahead now and get all these parts. And I think I got just over $100 and everything, maybe $120, and that's with new clamps, everything I found. And it's gonna be worth it though. I did go to a dealer and I bought genuine Kubota, and I'm gonna tell you why I wouldn't. I mean, you can order this stuff online on Amazon and stuff and get some more generic things, but I've just found on these engines, I like to support my dealer. They helped me. They could find these, parts for me. And I do like buying the genuine Kubota parts because I know they're gonna work better. So here was the old thermostat. I pulled that out, and I don't know if I do have a part number for this for you guys. So like I said, this was all caked on with stuff, and I cleaned it out pretty good, but it's got some deposits on it. And here's the thermostat, brand new one. I'm just gonna replace it while I go ahead and do it. Here's the housing. I gotta clean all this old gasket off and clean everything real well yet. That might be the gasket for that. Here's the water pump. It's hard to do with one hand here holding the camera. But I took it off and I inspected it, and I was gonna go ahead and replace it, but there's no slop in this. It's nice and tight and firm. The seals, everything seemed really good. It wasn't leaking when I took it off. So after I pulled it off and inspected it, I'm not gonna replace it, because these are I think they're 180 bucks for a Kubota one. And you can find them on the interweb at, for $68 or $59.99. You can find these deals on, compatible water pump for a Kubota, but I just don't like buying cheap engine parts, especially aftermarket stuff for these Chinese knockoffs. And I'm going to tell you why. After inspecting some of these water pumps that I've seen, the impellers here and stuff, get you a close-up of the Kubota. This is solid cast, and if you look at this impeller here for everything, the Chinese ones, the cheaper ones that I found online, this was like a stamped impeller, and it was a different design. It looked really, really cheap and generic, and the housing, and I can guarantee you if they went that cheap with this, the bearings and seals, they probably aren't as good either. So I definitely would suggest putting on a Kubota, genuine Kubota water pump if you're going to replace it, because like I said, why take all the time of removing this, putting new gaskets on and everything to put something on that's going to fail quicker than this. So I have more confidence that this original water pump would outlast definitely one of them Chinese ones. So that's where I'm at. I got some gaskets and hoses to replace, and like I said, I'll be sure to try to put these gaskets and part numbers in the descriptions below for you guys to check out. And once I get this painted and complete with all my other goodies on here, the larger radiator and stuff, I'll be sure to do a video and we'll go over it one more time showing you any other upgrades I did. If you like these kind of videos, I'm going to keep trying to do these for you as I go along, and I'm hoping to make some progress on this 982 diesel conversion. It just depends how much time I have and what happens once summer hits, how much time I have too. So if you guys have any other questions on Cub Cadets or anything, be sure to put it in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching.